Welcome, everybody, to another week of training. This is Team Prosperity's weekly Tuesday training, and we do this most every week. We go into aspects of the business model components, high performance, marketing, recruiting, managing, everything you need to know to build your business and help other people build their business. Before we get into the topic of conversation for today's training, we always like to review last week. And last week, we touched upon summer surge, tapping into your warm market and common market and the typical things that you're going to be doing during the summer. And the summer, once again, can be a slowdown period, and it usually is. That's because people allow it to be. If you don't slow down during the summer, what you'll find is when school starts in late August, when everybody gets back to restarting, if you didn't slow down or stop or put the brakes on during the summer, you're going to have a huge advantage because you're going to have income, revenue, and growth rolling in from the summer and also creating lead generation into the fall from what you've done in these months. So, yes, take time to be in the family reunions, the barbecues, the trips. Enjoy yourself, be with your family, understand life's about experiences, but your business should not take a back seat. And today, what we're going to talk about is how to solve more problems and make more money. And this is why problem solvers outperform product pushers. And this is not just in our industry. This is in most every industry that deals with sales. If you are dealing with sales, you are dealing with humans, and you have to understand humans are emotional creatures. So if you're trying to just push product, it's going to get crickets. If you're out there asking questions, solving problems, you're going to make more money. And you're going to bring solutions to the table versus products and services. And when you teach yourself and then teach other people how to do that, that's how you build massive distribution in financial services, which is going to get you that asset, the overrides, the bonuses, the equity, the spreads, everything that you're looking for why you got into this industry. So today we're going to talk about something that really can change your business trajectory forever. And that's how to shift your mindset from selling products, which most every salesperson does, to solving problems. High performers, high earners, they solve problems. Once you understand that, digest that, and get that into your business model, things become a lot easier because you're conversational versus selling. This one change can mean the difference between being the average agent, the middle to low performer, or being a top producer. Everybody wants to be a high performer because what do high performers do? They make a lot of money. So how do we get here? Well, today we're going to talk about one of the ways we get there, which is lose the product conversation and start talking about the problem conversation. Reality, opportunity, and mission. The reality is most people, they absolutely don't want to be sold. They want to be understood. They are looking for people who understand their problems, can offer solutions to their problems, can help them reach their goals, avoid getting to those areas where, most people drift into. So understand the reality, and that creates the opportunity. When you lead with solutions, you become a trusted guide, trusted advisor, not just a salesperson. People hate salespeople. They love people that can help them and guide them and solve their problems. So the mission today is help you understand the mindset, approach, and results behind problem solving and how our model supports that at every step. We've tried to create a model that doesn't sell products at every step. It solves problems at every step. And each one of those problem solving steps is products and services backed in. So you're going to sell more products and service than you ever would have if you developed that sales approach versus what we're trying to teach you today, solving problems. So understanding the two approaches, because once you start to understand it and once you can dissect them and move away from product selling, your growth in your business should explode. Product-based selling. So let's break this down. So this is a salesperson or an agent, advisor, whoever you want to call it, coach that leads with product features. Hey, this is the policy type. These are the riders. These are the rates. Let's look at the illustration. Let's go through page by page. No one wants to do that. Your client doesn't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's going to lead you to just boring them to death. And what are you going to do? You're going to raise up a lot of questions they didn't have in the beginning just by going through all that. So this sounds like when you're selling, you should really get this term policy because the cost is low and the coverage is high. Who cares? What is it doing for the person you're talking to? Product-based selling is going to get you into a rhythm of pitching, following up, and then being ghosted. So you don't want that. What you want, and the problem with this is this approach treats every prospect the exactly same. You haven't got to know them, their problems, their goals, their dreams, their desires, nothing about them. Everybody's the same. Everybody's a potential sale. Everybody's just a number. It ignores the unique challenges and feels transactional. You don't want to feel transactional because when you feel transactional, even if you sell a policy, a piece of technology, they're not going to want to continue to talk to you, which is going to eat into your opportunity to sell them multiple products and services by solving more and more problems as you get to know them more. So here's the other side, and here's where we want to be. This is problem-based selling. This, and like we always talk about, this starts with questions, not pitches. It seeks to understand the root issues because when you bring a solution to the problem that's backed by a product and service, it's a lot easier to explain why this fits into solving the problem. So seek to understand the root issues. Are they having issues with debt? Are they having issues with lack of emergency savings, not being able to save money? Are they struggling with tax liability? Are they really worried about loss of purchasing power? All four of these are completely different. And if you're talking to that person with the same pitch, the same approach, the same kind of conversation, and you're not getting to understand which one of these is their real problem, your chances and your probability of creating revenue off that person is extremely low. What does this sound like? Well, when you do it right and you look at the person and you talk to the person, you understand what they're trying to accomplish, what their problems are, what their goals are. This is what problem-based selling sounds like. Hey, let me ask you a question. What's the biggest financial concern you and your spouse talk about after the kids go to bed? Now, you can frame this a lot of different ways. You can come up with your own questions, but this is just one example. You want to get them talking. If you're in a conversation and you're doing most of the talking, me, product, 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 they're not listening. They're probably, they're probably doing something else. If you're on a Zoom and they're not on camera, who knows? They might have left the room. So you need to understand how to get in front of people and just ask questions. We call it the blind date methodology because all you're doing is asking questions. And when you ask questions, what does that make the other person do? Answer them, gets them talking. And when you get them talking, it's going to uncover problems that you have solutions and action steps for. It's the pyramid of influence. We went through that before. If you master the pyramid of influence, it's going to be a lot easier to get through these conversations and sort people. Because if you're doing problem-based selling, you're getting to know people and they've got to come to the table with problems, with information, with goals. If they can't do that, it's a disqualifier. The result of problem-based selling is you're now in a conversation, not a pitch. And when you're in a conversation, like we just talked about, information's flowing. If you get them talking, it's going to uncover goals, uncover problems that you've got solutions and action steps for. The result of being in a conversation is that you are going to convert more of those conversations into sales by solving problems, not selling products. Now let's look at a side-by-side comparison so you guys understand what's really happening here. Example one, this is a young family in debt. This is one of our core people that we can possibly help. So pitch-based, you're not getting to know them at all. Hey, you're a young family in debt. This IUL is perfect for young families. What's the focus? Well, the product benefits. Let me show you the death benefit and the living benefits. And let me go over your bucket with you and all these things. The result of that is probably a lot of confusion. And when people are confused, they're not going to ask questions. It's just going to creep in like a state of paralysis. They're going to shut down, not talk to you anymore. The result of this is going to be shrug and delay. And if you follow up with them, they're most likely going to ghost you. Why is that? You haven't done anything. You're just pitching. Anybody out there can pitch. Now, on the opposite side, problem-based. How much are you guys currently putting towards debt each month? That requires an answer, right? And that answer is going to lead into more conversations, more questions, more information, and more solutions. What's the focus on here? Focus on monthly cash flow, future freedom. Hey, where's your money going right now? Let's analyze where your cash flow is going. Are you becoming a foot soldier for the bank? Are you creating an undesired financial outcome that you're excited about with a legitimate path to get there? Because that's what I help you with. And then the result of this is engagement and discovery. So you can see how these are two polar opposites, 180-degree opposites of each other. And pitch-based, that's what a lot of people do. That'll cause burnout, that'll cause drift, that'll cause you to not think that you can make it in this industry, and you'll probably end up drifting and quitting. When you're problem based, all you're doing is having conversations, and it gets easier and easier and easier if you have personas that you're dealing with, because you're talking to the same people all the time about basically the same things. And you're probably going to go into those conversations preemptively knowing probably what their problems are, but you're going to continue to ask questions and let them bring that to the surface. Now, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's not talk about a young family in debt. Let's talk about somebody like a near retiree couple. It's the same thing. Are you going to be pitch based? This annuity is safe and has good returns. Let's go through the entire illustration of guaranteed current rates. Look at all the stuff. Look at the surrender schedule. Let's do all of this and just focus on product benefits. The result is just confusion, no action. It's the same thing. You're talking to different people in different parts of the life cycle, but it's the same thing. When you come from product benefits, it's crickets. Now, problem based. What are you most concerned about in retirement? Income or risk? So this concentrates on their monthly cash flow, what they're looking for. It also concentrates on helping them achieve things that retirees want: control, peace of mind. They want guarantees. Most of them do, even if they don't realize it. And what is the result of this? Once again, personal conversation and opportunity. So you can go out there and pitch, 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 nothing, 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 or you can adopt the problem-based methodology, and you can start opening conversations, uncovering problems, and then bringing solutions to the table that include all types of products and services that we have from our side. Don't forget, clients buy when they feel understood. That is extremely important. If they feel that they are understood by you and you're bringing solutions to problems, probably going to have a good outcome. If they don't feel understood by you, they're going to shut you off. They're going to move on, try to find somebody else that does understand them. Not when they're overwhelmed with features. So they're going to buy when they feel understood, not when you throw out everything that you've learned in the industry over the last number of years to them, because all that industry jargon does absolutely nothing except confuse them. So don't forget when they buy and when they don't. The revenue impact of problem solving. So this is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, for your money, your income, your growth, your asset, your future. If you look at this, why does this matter to your bottom line? Because higher conversion rates, you're not pushing, you're guiding. And as a financial coach, if you can guide people to where they want to go, it's going to create revenue and income opportunities, user-generated content, reviews, testimonials, and it'll attract more and more and more of that same persona. Increased average sales side, multiple solutions over time. Our average client buys about 3 things from us. So if you do things correctly, is it easier to sell one person a few things or go out and find new clients to sell them individual things? Well, it's a lot easier to sell the same person who you've already built trust, rapport, credibility with more things as you uncover more problems and more solutions and bring those to the table. It also creates more repeat business. You solve problems as they come up. And as a financial coach, when we stay in front of them with newsletters, with having access to our calendars, inviting them to get on there with whatever they need, they feel comfortable. And you'll see stuff pop up on your calendar. Hey, we talked about this a couple months ago. I'm interested in talking about this now. And then more referrals. People are going to refer solutions, not products. So understand what this means to your bottom line and how adopting this methodology and strategy can increase exponentially your income and your agency income. So an example of this, you sell a savings strategy today. So that's technology. You run a savings report, sell them technology. 2 months later, the client asks about insurance. 6 months later after that, they ask about retirement. Now you made 3 or 4 sales instead of 1 without cold leads. So your cost of acquisition when people are coming back to the table, continues to dilute and lessen versus if you have to go out and spend money or spend time, energy, resources manufacturing a brand new lead. How our model supports this, and this is extremely important because Alana and I have spent the last number of years trying to create a model for you guys where we understand the problems inside the industry, we understand agent psychology, client psychology, and create a model that supports this. So what we teach you guys is integrated with the business model. Our business model is engineered for this approach. Client education first. This is how you create leads, guys, because you don't ask anything of them in the beginning. You don't have to jump through a lot of hoops, obstacles. You're just giving away value-based proposition, guides, reports, discovery, tools that will help them. That creates lead generation. Then when you create lead generation, you move into the conversation. Custom problem solving presentations. What is it that's unique to them? They're worried about, they're concerned about, or they're motivated by, and we're going to bring presentations to the table and conversations to the table that address those exact things. And then your stack monetization opportunities, debt to wealth, offset, plus arbitrage, plus insurance, plus retirement solutions. Our average client to us is worth about 20 grand. So when you add everything up to us, what that makes, it's not, immediate, it's over time, but our average client, if it's done correctly, is worth about $20,000 to us. So these are high ticket sales. They're not immediate, but if you're the type of person who likes to sell and remove yourself from the situation and never be in front of that person again, your average client is going to be far, far less than that. So here it is. Here's how you build a pipeline. You're never selling out of thin air. You're recommending solutions based on diagnosis. This is how you build a pipeline, and build a pipeline with different cycles of communication. And really, what are you doing when you're solving problems? Is you're sorting. Hey, I brought a solution to your problem that you're worried about. It's right here, right now. If you're not ready to take action, I'm moving on. You need action takers, and problem solving will help you identify and sort those people. Think of yourself as a financial doctor. If you go in, the doctor's got to do some type of diagnosis first. Hopefully, he or she doesn't start handing you prescriptions or things that you need to do. It's diagnosis first, prescription second. Think of yourself as a financial doctor and that 1-2 combination. Diagnosis first, prescription second. Group engagement and real world examples. Here's where we can really start to understand what happened. Let's open this up. Think back to a client where you led with a product pitch. Think about your last few client conversations or prospect conversations. Now, if you're struggling to bring those up in your head, that means your problem, you're not quite here yet. Your problem is on lead generation. You need to go back to some of the previous videos and learn how to create leads for yourself, whether that's organic, paid, across social media platforms, traditional, digital, it doesn't matter. If you can't think of the last couple of client conversations, lead generation is your problem. If you can, think about what happened. How did that conversation go? Did it go correct? Did it go not correct? And guys, you can record your conversations, put them into AI, and AI will break down where you went wrong in that conversation. If you're willing to learn, accept constructive criticism from your peers, your mentors, things like AI, you're only going to get better. And then when you get better and better and better, your money will follow, and your ability to coach and help other people, not only the clients, but the agents, will materialize as well. Now think of another time when you led with a problem-based conversation. What was the result? It's two different approaches. I don't pitch anymore. Once I learned how to solve problems in this industry, it was off to the races. And that's all I do. If somebody has a problem that I can solve and they don't want to take the action step, I'm moving on to someone who will take the action step. But I'm bringing solutions to the table for those individual problems, and letting those problems come to the table by letting them talk. So what would you do? Let's just role play for a minute during the meeting. If you have a client struggling with high interest credit card debt, what would you do? How do you start that conversation? How do you frame that? What are you going to lead with questions? How are you going to organize that conversation? What about a real estate agent with big income swings? Those are two totally different people. If you approach those people with the same exact pitch mentality and pitch communication, it's dead. It's crickets. What about a couple who just had a baby? Are you going to try to sell them a product? Or are you going to solve a problem for them? And then what about a widow unsure of what to do with life insurance proceeds? All different people, all different problems, all different needs. You have to get them talking. And the way you get them talking is ask questions. What's the root issue? What's the best first question to ask? When you change your habits, you're going to start asking these questions daily. And when you do, you're going to see a change in your business. It's all about questions. What is the client's biggest financial stress point right now? Why is that a problem long term? What's stopping them from solving it? How can we eliminate, reduce, or reframe that challenge into a solution? So you want to take problems people have and be able to reframe those into solutions. And when you offer solutions, now the problem seems far less of a problem because we have a legitimate solution in front of them. And what tool or model can help best them take action? So as you're asking them questions, as they're getting responses, start thinking about in manufacturing, what solution am I going to bring based on their problem? We want to act now. And so these are the final thoughts and the calls to action for today's meeting. This week's challenge is revisit your last 3 to 5 client conversations. What went right? What went wrong? You need to learn from your strengths and your weaknesses. If you're the person that doesn't like to look at your weaknesses, doesn't like to be addressed, doesn't like constructive feedback or criticism, you're in trouble because this is all about learning, implementing what you learn, and getting better. If you can't fix yourself, you can't coach and fix other people. Were you product focused or problem focused? And I think what you'll find is as you revisit some of these conversations, break them down, you'll be able to identify very clearly the ones that went right versus the ones that went wrong in your approach. Next step, plug into discovery calls with the mindset of a financial strategist, doctor, whatever you want to call yourself or consider yourself, not a salespeople person. People hate to deal with salespeople. They want their problem solved. They want to feel understood. Please take that away from today's training. And when you do, your conversations will open up and be more meaningful. Use the problem solution flow built into the presentations and reports. So here's where we're at, guys. When you become a problem solver, your value absolutely skyrockets to your clients, to yourself, to your partners. Your conversations shift. Your confidence grows and your revenue compounds. And this is because you've solved real problems. You don't chase business, business chases you. Now, if you're in the beginning stages, what you'll find is that you need to be mindful at different phases of the conversation. When do I ask for referrals? When do I ask for reviews? When do I ask for testimonials? When do I ask for user-generated content? Because if you never ask for any of that stuff, we talked about this in previous trainings, it's not really going to happen. This has to be part of your business. When you do something, the value is recognized. That's the great time to bring up referrals, testimonials, reviews, etc. So we are into, pretty much past the first half of this year. If you had a great first half, great, build on the momentum. If you didn't, reset, but understand it's never too late. The second half, if you look, I like to use sports analogies. If you look at football, basketball games, stuff like that, if you look at people that were, really, really behind at halftime, whether a football team, basketball team, and they came back in the second half to cut that deficit and then take the lead and win that game. You can do the same thing with your business, but you got to understand time is going to be your enemy or your friend. So how are you going to use the second half of the year to build your business, build your asset, build your equity, build your confidence, and build your partners up?